All right, this is a little less traditional webinar. This is more like a workshop where I'm going to walk you guys through what we're doing in MVP. So if you expected a bunch of slides and all that kind of stuff, this is not that kind of meeting. I'm a very hat in hand kind of guy, and so it's going to be a hat in hand kind of meeting. And we will get started right now. So what I'm going to do for this first kind of 5 minutes, I'll do an intro of what we're doing here today. There are people filing in, and so that stupid waiting room thing, I should not have done the waiting room. Note for next time. So I get distracted by that. But welcome you guys to this workshop. I'm really grateful for everybody that's shown up here today. We've got a great show here, and a while it's been on the hush, mostly because I want it to be special. I want it to be right, and I really, really, really care about what we're doing. And I'm not just saying that either. People who are in MVP, which by the way, if you're in MVP and you have your camera on, can you wave your hand real quick? There we go. We got a couple of MVPers. All right, cool. So I'm actually going to ask a couple of them to give their experience, if you guys don't mind, as we go through this. But this is new to many of you. So some of you, it's like, hey, what the crap is MVP? I've heard of other stuff, but obviously we've heard of UpHex, but what is MVP? So that's what you're all here to do. Let me just start with this. I guess about 8 or 9 months ago. Are we recording? Yes, we're recording. About 8 or 9 months ago, I started looking at a couple of things within UpHex for in terms of customer churn. So you guys know, if you're UpHex users, we have 3 price tiers. Okay, we have $97, which means you have 1 to 3 customers. We have $297, which means you have more than 3 but less than 11. Or we have $497, which means you have more than 11. And we were looking at important data points such as churn. If you're going to have a business that grows and that produces outcomes, good churn, meaning it's pretty, people have success and they stick with the model, right? But at that low price point, there are a lot of people who struggle, and our churn, I'm going to go ahead and mute just so we don't have people interrupting. Our churn was getting to a point to where it was of concern. Oh, that rhymed. And so we started looking at it and we started saying, well, what can we do about this? Can we do anything about this? And so we started to survey people as they would exit, and especially from that lower price tier. And we did that for a couple of weeks, and 2 really big, resounding responses came back. There's a lot of responses, there's kind of the one-off reasons why that was happening. But there was 2 really big ones that just kept repeating themselves in one way or another. The first one was, don't have any customers, right? Okay, well, if you don't have any customers, it's hard to pay for anything, right? So I totally understood that one. The second one was more nuanced, and it showed itself in a lot of very different ways in both our community and the high-level community. And we cataloged it under this topic of agency overwhelm, okay? And it was agency overwhelm with tools, agency overwhelm with selling, agency overwhelm with strategy, agency overwhelm with offers, agency overwhelm with everything, okay? And I started seeing more and more. In fact, I did, there was one slide, I put together one slide, I wasn't going to, but I did, because I thought it was very indicative of what is going on. And you guys, I'm sure, have seen stuff like this. In fact, give me one in the chat if you've ever seen stuff like this, right? I'm completely disappointed with myself. It's been 6 months now having GHL, and I still not reached my goal. I mean, he's been doing all this stuff, burned $500, which is not very much to burn ads, by the way, doing all this stuff. Then there's, of course. It's been 6 months. I still don't have any clients. This one was, I think, yesterday, right? And then this one right here was, it doesn't matter. You guys get the point, right? So let me ask you this. And you can give me a 1 in the chat, grab the chat, have you guys felt the agency overwhelm? Have you been spinning your wheels in terms of getting clients, knowing what to offer, feeling overwhelmed by all the tools? Give me one in the chat if you have felt that way. All right, there we go. Then this is the problem, right? This is the problem. We have too many people chasing too much opportunity and not understanding what it is. Did I enable the chat so everyone can? Yes. Okay, now everyone can do, because I had a bunch of ones coming in, but they're all coming into me. You guys can chat with each other. And then this was the problem, right? This is what was going on. So I went back to my partners and I said, these people are overcomplicating everything. Now, I will tell you, how many of you guys feel like you are dyed-in-the-wool entrepreneurs, meaning since you were a kid, you knew you had to be an entrepreneur? I'll tell you, from the time I was 15 years old, my dad told me one thing. He said, Sam, if you sell to the masses, you live with the classes. If you sell to the classes, you live with the masses. And I was like, I want to learn how to sell to the masses, right? And I have always remembered that. And it has been my life's journey to become an entrepreneur. And I will tell you, for the first 10 years, I was a terrible entrepreneur, right? I did everything I could to sell, to do whatever, but I was always boom and bust, boom and bust, boom and bust. And I had a neighbor who was also an entrepreneur, and he was a boom and bust entrepreneur his entire life. And honestly, he terrified me because I thought, man, am I that guy? Am I the guy that's just going to end up going from thing to thing, end up making some money, then end up losing money? Is that what entrepreneurship is all about? And so as I'm looking at all of these people saying, it's been 6 months, you know, I've done all this stuff, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. I thought back to, that used to be me. A little moment in my career that changed my life. And that was when I found a mentor. And after about 10, 15 years of being an entrepreneur, I found this mentor, and he started teaching me the rules of the game. Imagine playing any board game and not knowing what the rules are. How fun is that game? Or imagine this. Imagine assembling a puzzle, but it's flipped upside down so you can't see any of the images, right? Everybody today is trying to assemble a puzzle, but they're doing it on the backside where there's no images. Okay? Flip it over, you can see what you're building and you know the pieces and where they're supposed to go. Okay? So agency MVP is my attempt to flip the puzzle over. All right? And what I am doing is I'm teaching the skills that were taught to me by my mentor, and I'm applying them to the agency space. All right. Oh, okay. I'm applying them to the agency space. And in doing so, I'm also creating a model that removes complication. Okay. And that focuses on the most important things. Because I'll tell you another thing, being a person that I have a privileged position, I have a bird's eye view into a lot of agencies. And I will tell you one thing, the 7-figure agency, all that stuff you guys hear about 7-figure agencies, it ain't all it's cracked up to be, right? Most of those 7-figure agencies are bloated with overhead. They don't make very much money. And because they're bloated with overhead, they live on the knife's edge of, hey, if I don't get enough sales this month, or if I don't whatever this month, my agency is going down the toilet. That is how close it is. And I'm not even kidding. I've had both. I have had the agency that operates like on autopilot and that has great margins. And I've had the bloated agency. Heather's been there for both. Heather, wave your hand. So we know what it is. All right. So MVP is designed to build a lifestyle agency, a profit-first agency, an agency that operates without complexity, an agency that focuses on outcomes and duplicates success. You want to know one of the craziest things that entrepreneurs do? Give me a one in the chat if you have ever done this. And if I don't get some ones, you guys are a bunch of liars. All right. If you have ever had success in any way and then said, awesome, and then not did that thing again. Okay, the ones are rolling in. Okay, we got honest people. I like it. You have to be honest to be an MVP, by the way. If you're a filthy liar, then you're not going to cut it. So, all right. So that is the premise of what we're doing. It has been in beta since January. I think Gary was the first one to jump in. Gary, were you the first one? He was either the first one or the first day. I told whoever it was that was the first one, I said, you're the first one. So I can't remember. Might have been Jim. I don't remember. But we started it back in January, and I went with a small cohort of people. I hand selected them. I talked to each one of them, and everybody that has come into beta until this point has talked to me personally. We've gone through a conversation because I want beta, or I want MVP to be the most effective and valuable agency growth program that there is. Okay. I don't need the money from MVP. I do great with UpHex, right? Just so that's clear. I'm doing this because at one point in time, a mentor jumped in and changed my life. And I feel like I have a duty to do the same. And that is what we're doing. So if it's okay, I'm going to just take a quick sidestep. And I want to ask a couple of people. I don't mean to put you guys on the spot, but I'm gonna. Gary, could you real quick share with the folks here your experience, both kind of where you were at with your agency prior to MVP, and then how you're feeling about where you're at right now and kind of what your outcomes are currently?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am not new to the agency space. Quite frankly, I wish I had something like this early on. I was looking for something like this. So I joined mentor after mentor and course after course and kind of picked up some, valuable skills, but ultimately like had a lot of question marks and hearing like things over and over again over like the last several years, like niching down. It really didn't make a big difference or like land for me until I got into this program. So that one shift that I made in terms of like getting granular on who I'm going after, I closed like 4 or 5 deals last month and I'm not even halfway through the program at that point. So, there's nothing better than finding something that you can like just plug into and shut the brain off and just follow. And that's basically what I got so far from the course.
I love it. I love it. In fact, Gary's been really fun for all of us to watch in MVP because he's very vocal about sharing what he did before and what he did after. And I've actually been really, the first 3 weeks of MVP were like where I was so intentional. Me and my team were so intentional about what went in there because we knew if we could nail just these first 3 weeks, the rest of it would come naturally, right? And so when I saw, and I told that to Jacob when we were done, I said, if we do this one part right, the rest of it will build itself. And when I saw Gary after 2 weeks say, I just did $10,000, I was like, dude, we did it. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was really eye-opening. And like from that point forward, I realized like I was on the insanity wheel, like trying to do a bunch of stuff and adding more features and just not really being able to scale past 4 or 5 clients at any given point. And I had some wins over the last 4 years. I'd done revenue, like decent years worth of revenue, but ultimately like, I just couldn't get past a certain point. And I was trying to be too many things to too many people and adding things and creating more bottlenecks for me and my business and not being able to really like focus on what really matters. So that's like one of the biggest clarifying points I want to make here is it got me laser focused on a plan that will actually deliver fantastic results, but also keep that profit margin high. Because I do know people in this space that are like 100K per month, 150K per month, but I ask them what their margins are like on the side, they're like 30-40%. And that's that razor wire that you mentioned. It's like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I don't want to be on a, hamster wheel for the next 3 or 4 years. I've already put 3-4 years into this. I'm looking to like rocket to a high profitability and a sustainable business, and have an exit strategy as well without having to lose hair. And no offense to any hair
What's
challenged
up?
folks here. But yeah, that's basically just a quick summary of what I've got so far. And we're not even into the nuts and bolts of the system as a whole. I just applied what I learned through this course to what I already had. And like I mentioned this before, my agency snapshot, if anyone on here were to look at that thing, you would probably have a stroke or something, because there's just so much stuff in my agency that we've done over the years that doesn't really serve much of a purpose. It just caused a lot of confusion and stuff. So I'm literally building a 2.0 of my agency concurrently as I'm going through this program. And it's it's just refreshing, because it's helping me like simplify and just whittle away at the stuff that ultimately doesn't serve me or my business.
Yeah, one of the things that that we knew in our own agency was the more things that we promoted, the more things that we had, the more dynamic our agency became, the more support we needed, the more complaints we got, the more all of these different things. And there's a lot of things that happen unwittingly, like people don't know it's happening, right? And before they know it, they built an agency that makes no profit, that they're giving everybody else money and they're not making money themselves. So, but simplifying things is incredible. I could say, hey, just simplify it. And that's very surface level. Like actually doing that is a lot more difficult. So, Tammy, would you mind real quick unmuting and giving some of your experience? So Tammy has also been in the agency space for an extended period of time and has some background. And actually, it's funny because Tammy and Daniel, I don't know if Daniel's here. I wasn't intending on opening the MVP back up, because I do a beta, I bring in a group of people. I'm like, okay, Graham, we're really great. But Tammy and Daniel both posted in the group. So I was like, okay, well, I guess it's time to kind of let the cat out of the bag and let everybody know what we're doing. So Tammy, could you share kind of your experience?
I mean, I think that's why I dropped the note, because I feel like everybody needs to know what is going on in there. So I've only actually been in this world for like 2 weeks, but as soon as I feel like I was ethically stalking Sam, I kind of fell into the GHL world, and then I just stumbled upon, I don't even know, the crosshairs are like, and I just started consuming like your content, and I'm like, this resonates so well, so like everything you were saying, I'm like, I need to listen to more of what's going on here. So I started diving in, and then joined UpHex, and then immediately took that first offer that's there. And I think I sent you a private message, and I'm like, I don't like to private message people, but I really have a question, and you were really helpful there. But then when you mentioned this MVP, that you thought maybe it was a good fit, I'm like, count me in. Like, it was a no-brainer. And since I've been in there, I've just like, it just, to me, so in my agency, I think I've been very blessed, because I have been very profitable. I'm probably working at like an 80% margin, but that means that I'm doing some of the media buying and the agency work. And I never had any time for myself. I had media buyers, but I could never take a vacation and actually just shut off. Like, I couldn't go for 3 or 4 days without any time off, because I'm one of those people. I'm like, I'm spending my clients' money. I need to make sure that that's making money. So Saturdays, Sundays, not even doing anything until that work has been taken, or been done. But then the churn can be so high on these retainer based, especially like if you're having clients that are kind of new themselves with products and don't have proven offers, but think they have something amazing. that was kind of the experience that I was having with some clients. So that kind of churn was a bit high. And then when you lose a client, it hurts because it's like, God, the retainers model is a bit tough to swallow when you lose clients. So it was constantly like this cycle of always chasing what was going on and trying to find new people. And then that meant, I was taking a lot of whatever was coming. So then I was in e-commerce, I was doing coaching, I was doing local business. I was like spread so thin and really trying to like make all these clients happy. And then, so just recently, I just cut a bunch of clients loose. I'm like, there has to be a better way to do this, which is, the same time that I was starting to talk to you, Sam. And as soon as I've been in the program, everything has made sense, like starting with this market identification and finding, niching down and having a what's the word?
Productive.
Reparable.
Oh, yeah. Duplicatable. Yeah.
Yeah. So that you're just kind of doing the same things over and over again, but then you're building in a nice, with the software, you're building in this MRR. And then identifying something that I'm actually passionate about and can support. It just all kind of makes sense to me. And I wish the same as Gary, if I had found something like this at the beginning that had made life so much easier and so much more streamlined and just help. And the questions, like the support has been amazing as well, because I think I know quite a bit, but my eyes are just constantly finding new information that I'm like, wow, like, why didn't I think of this? Why didn't this come across my path before? Like, why didn't I think about doing these sort of things? And the pace at which it's happening it makes so much sense, like where to start, what to identify, which steps to take, which pieces to build first, and then build on those. It's like, it's kind of cliche, but like building a house on a good foundation. And those first 3 weeks, I'm still watching them myself again. I've only been in for 2 weeks, but I've been through the content. This is my third go round. So it's just really incredible. And I highly recommend anybody who wants to grow an agency the proper way to jump in. Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you, Tammy. Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating. And when I talk about agency confusion, it broke down into two people. One, people who could not get off the ground. So people brand new, don't know how to get customers, don't know how to do any of that. That was category number one of being overwhelmed. Then category number two were the Garys and the Tammys and the Daniel. So Daniel is a SaaSpreneur winner. Daniel had 220 clients in his agency, but he was one of those bloated agencies. He tore it all down, because he said, this is not what we're doing. And as soon as he saw what we were doing in MVP, he signed up the next day. He went through the entire program, and he's been in about the same time he's only been in less than 2 weeks. I don't know, not very long. And he just posted his results on just doing the first 3 modules. Now are we 6 or 7 modules in? Are we 6, Heather? 7? 7? Close enough. Just doing the first 3, and he launched what he knew from the agency world, and he's already like crushing it. The guy has got, he set up 10 demo calls yesterday, right? That is what he's able to do by being able to focus the right way. And by the way, there is something that every agency owner will do. If you haven't done it already, you will do it, and you will kill your agency because you don't do this order in terms of the proper steps in the proper order. Everybody gets there. If you don't know a couple of rules, like we talk about, like sub-niching, people hear that word and they just kind of like, okay, whatever. I'm telling you right now, it is incredibly important. I don't want to go on for days and days and days and testimonials, but I do want to Jim, is it okay if I put you on the spot here real quick? Jim O'Brien.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I want to throw in Jim here just for a minute. He's been here since the first, from the first as well. And, He's been very active. He's been trying to build an agency for a long time and hasn't really felt like he knew what he was doing. Jim, could you just take 1 minute, share your experience, and then I'll stop with this whole thing. And then we'll move on to what's included, how it works, how you can sign up, what it costs, all that kind of stuff.
So yeah, let me do a real quick background. My background is I have a construction company and I have had a marketing agency, both for over 25 years. Marketing agency focused on restaurants and restaurants alone. COVID came along, wiped me out because I wasn't set up right within it. And so I said, I'm not going to rebuild it and start all over again. I got my construction business. My construction business I closed down last year because my back gave out. And so I said, I got to rebuild my agency, started doing it, and it wasn't going good because the way I started originally, those tools didn't exist, so they really weren't current anymore. So I got into high level, started playing around with that, got inundated with all the crap that I put into my agency. Every single week, Paulson would have a new thing, and I'd sign up for it, and I'd follow that person and save up all these individual pieces and all these snapshots, and it was like, oh man, this isn't getting me anywhere but a junk pile. I started following UpHex and started listening and learning and going to the daily activities that are going on, all the trainings, and got into the launch and then got invited into the MVP. Best day of my life. Thank you very much, Sam. And the reason for that is because the niche that I was going after was the niche that I had been working for years and years and years, construction. And I thought, well, this ought to be pretty easy because I've been at it for a long time. And everybody says, go into what you know. I went into what I knew. The problem was the level that I was at was far higher than many of the other contractors. And so I said, all right, I can do this. And I started bringing in people in, and I closed a couple of sales and I brought them in. But then I realized that as we went through the classes, they weren't my customer. They were just people that were looking for something from me and were going to eventually just churn and go away. The class taught me to niche down into the niche that I was so familiar with. It was to relearn marketing all over again for that specific niche and dig down into who is my client? What do they need? How can I help them to get it? And in doing that, I rewrote my whole plan as far as the approach that I had to people and how I was going to help them become profitable, at the same time help my agency.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. So if you guys have been spinning your wheels, trying to get customers, you're not sure who that is, or you're not sure how to talk to your customer, if you want them to come to you, if you want to build a business that you love, I mean, how many of you guys have done lead generation for a customer and just felt like, oh man, this is not like, I don't feel like I'm getting them the results that I should. Like there's something that can be better, right? It's because not only do most of the programs or courses out there they just teach tactics. I will never teach a tactic without an underlying principle, because as soon as I teach a tactic, it's done next month. It doesn't work. But if you know the principle, you will never worry about how to be an agency owner or how to be an entrepreneur for that matter. Right? As soon as I learned the rules of the game, I have had 1,000% batting average since. Before that, I was at 0%. Right? That's what's at stake here is, do you feel equipped with the rules of the game? Do you know what to do, how to build a business, whether it's in the agency space, which is what we're teaching, of course, or whether it's something else? These are the same rules that apply to every venture that you will ever be a part of. All right. And you will use it not only to grow your agency, but you will use it to help the businesses that you work with. You're going to take these same principles and you're going to teach it to them, and they're going to change their lives because of it. Right. And that is what we're doing. All right. So I'm going to get down into the logistics, the nuts and bolts. Before we move on, so far, if you guys are enjoying this, if this sounds up your alley, give me a 1 in the chat. Just let me know. I mean, maybe we're not hitting the mark here. Maybe we're, all right, there we go. Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome. So that's the spirit of what we're doing. Now, in terms of beta, why is it beta? Well, because we're building it in real time. We started this back in January, and I made everybody in that, sorry guys, I made you all do it. I made everybody wait for a month before we started. It was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, and I had all this stuff. I'm like, listen, if I'm going to do this, I better do this. And we're going to see if people even want it. So, so we did. And they waited for a month, and now we are a couple months into, we have published week 7. And by the way, for everybody who I posted an update to yesterday, I was mistaken. It's actually going to be 9 weeks. So sorry, Heather informed me that there was one other module that needs to go in the core module and not in the checklist module. So, so it's MVP because everybody that goes through the program has direct access to me. You have direct access to me, not in Zoom, but through Marco Polo. In fact, could one of you MVPers send me a Marco Polo? That way people can see how it works. You have direct access to me via Marco Polo. I want everybody to go through it. I want to see your outcomes. I want to fix anything that is not hitting the mark. And during beta, all right, Gary, thank you. Is not hitting the mark. And during beta, all right, Gary, thank you. All right. That's how you have access to me. And that's how I'm going to make sure that you get the outcomes that you want. The outcome that you want, if it is an agency, profit first and not bloating your operations. If you want an agency that knows how to create an offer, how many of you struggle to create an offer? We haven't even gotten into the agency offer module yet in MVP, but there's already people who are naturally doing it. Because the offer isn't some kind of mystery. The offer is the outcome, right? But knowing the nuance on how to do it, that's where those principles come into play. All right. Let's see here. What else? What else do I want to share? It's a 9-week program. You get in right now. We're selling it at $2,000. Everybody that has gone through beta has paid $2,000. Okay. Because it's a program, it's not a course. I call it a program because it's got a beginning point and an end point. It also has future plans of other things that I want. I want MVP to be the one place where you can go, get rid of confusion, get rid of complexity, and find the answers if you want to grow an agency, right? So it is $2,000. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to include here before we. No. All right. It is $2,000. Okay. And here's how it works. I'm taking 20 people and I do it in tranches. I do bite-sized pieces. One, because not everybody that goes into MVP is going to get Marco Polo access to me. That's just ridiculous. Right. But I do care while it is getting built that people have direct access to me. Right. I want to know that it's getting done right, that we're checking all the boxes. Okay. You get access before anybody else. You get access at the $2,000 price. That is a one-time price. We are building artificial intelligence tools to support MVP. So that won't be at an extra price. MVPers don't know about all those, but we're building some crazy awesome stuff right now. When whatever else comes with, you're grandfathered into everything that comes up into that without any upcharges or anything else, right? And it's 20 people. That doesn't mean that if it's not a fit for you today in terms of like financial, doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that for as soon as we get 20, I'm closing it again. And then that way we'll go through the whole program and then we'll get like a more formal webinar. This is very informal. Okay. So with that, I'm going to do 2 things. Number one, I'm going to ask Heather if you want to go ahead and post the checkout page to the group as a whole. What you guys can do is if you check out, if you go and pay the $2,000, okay, and then you send me a screenshot of the payment on Messenger. So just find me on Messenger and send me a screenshot. I will give you immediate access into both MVP and into Marco Polo, so you can talk with me and all that kind of stuff, okay? And you'll get instant access today. If you're kind of like, hey, I have a couple questions, I'll go into a Q&A right now. but I would really like to talk to a current MVPer. Dude, I get that. I totally get it. So I have asked a couple of MVP people. If you're MVP, raise your hand again, either just with your hand or the emoji. Travis, are you paying attention? Raise your hand. He's an MVP too. Lewis is in the UK, by the way, if you guys are in that time zone. If you want to reach out to them directly and set up a conversation with them, I've asked each of them, and at least, well, I know that Gary and Tammy, you both said yes. I can't remember if Jim and Lewis, you guys said yes, but I'm assuming the answer is yes since they're here. Travis, if you want to reach out to them directly, set up a conversation, just see how their experience has been without me peer pressuring you into buying anything. That's why I asked them to come, because I want, oh, and same thing. Thank you, Craig. Craig also told me that he would be cool in sharing his experience. All right. So there's ways for you guys to find out what it's all about if we haven't covered it. I would love to go to questions if you have questions, and I'll let anybody, if you have questions, go ahead and raise your hand. So all you MVPers, keep your hands raised. I know who you guys are. Just want people to see who you are. And
there was one question in the chat for you.
Okay, what is it?
Is the MVP program the same as the agency bundle?
No. Agency launch is about lead flow and about writing ads. It's just strictly designed to ads. In MVP, we are putting in a method. Like, we are building an actual, hey, this is the agency model. This is what you need to include in your high-level stack. This is what you need to exclude from your high-level stack. Like, there are things that will keep you from getting clients that high-level offers. They're not bad things, okay? But people put them in unwittingly, not knowing that that's going to cause problems. It's going to cause complexity. It's going to cause confusion, okay? We'll do the same thing. We'll help you build your UpHex library out. That way you have ads that will deliver outcomes for your specific niche. And so it's an entire business model. Whereas in agency launch, we're just focusing on lead flow through writing ads. Good question.
Christina had a question for you, Sam. She's currently with another coaching program, but she wants to work with you as well. What are your thoughts? She's in 2 coaching programs right now, plus this.
I don't know what the other programs are, but I'm not the only person that can get a result for you too, by the way. Like, there are other programs out there. People, like, there's great coaches out there. The reason you would work with me is because, one, I've done it. Like, what you guys are trying to build, I've actually done. Like, I've actually done that thing. Okay? Not to say they haven't, but I have actually done it. The model, this model, I have done it. All of the people that we're modeling off of, they are doing that model, right? So if you're trying to build a 7-figure agency that offers SEO and that does this and does that and does this and that, this is not that program, right? So if you want to build that, don't join MVP. And if you want to work with me, then I say come over, join the MVP team. But I would say probably if you're chasing 2 rabbits, you're not going to catch either of them. So pick a program, honestly.
Can I share something really quick? Because I was
Yeah.
actually part of another program when I joined this. 2 distinct different lessons or like outcomes from each different program. So if whatever your other programs are, just, is it congruent or not to this? And what you don't want to do is, try to balance 2 scales, or you can't really serve 2 masters at the same time. So I would recommend, if this makes a lot of sense to you, jump on board and, apply the concepts from a foundational, functional aspect. And if those other programs are teaching tactics and techniques, then just find a way to implement those into this program.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary. Awesome. Roger, by the way, Roger Barbone is a chiropractor that I met, and he's a highly touted chiropractor. I met him in Texas. I was speaking at an event, and he was also a speaker there. So I know a little bit about what you're doing. So the model that we're building ultimately, Roger, is not going to suit what you're trying to build. However, so the way we stack up high level and UpHex together is not going to be a fit for you. But what we learned in the first 3 weeks, and then there's actually some stuff in the last week, man, $2,000 is cheap. So if you want to get in and learn the business model, sans building an agency, I would feel very comfortable having you in.
Can I say something real quick? So, I'm not trying to sell anything for Sam here, but I could tell you after we spoke together, then we switched contact info. We talked a long time ago, and actually over the last couple of weeks, you've been on my mind. I just saw this and I didn't really know what it was about, so I just signed up to come. For those of y'all on the fence, and those of y'all who are in the program, and we didn't coordinate it on this, it'll sound like a pitch, I'm sure. But when we spoke, Sam, before, your heart was in mentoring. And that's one thing I got for you. And I was actually on a run yesterday and you popped in my head and like, man, I've got to find a way to make Sam my coach for this thing that I'm doing. So I know I'll have a couple of specific things I want to run by you, but I really appreciate your time. And if I was doing the marketing agency thing, I mean, right now I would just pull the trigger on this. I do have a couple of questions I won't take your time for, but I know this man's heart is truly in this space to help people to not experience the pain that he's already been through, but the simplicity, the joy of the simplicity with it. So anyway, for what that's worth, but I appreciate you, Sam.
Roger, thank you so much. I appreciate that, buddy. All righty. Okay, so let's see here. I might be missing, is this?
So Ramses was wondering, a little bit of clarity. You had mentioned take a screenshot of something and then send it to your Facebook
when
Messenger.
you check out, I'm old school, you guys. Everybody in MVP knows I'm old school, right? So when you check out, just send me a screenshot. But you have to reach out to me personally on Messenger so I can get you access.
Did he break out on those instructions, or was that just me? He broke out. Will you say those instructions one more time, Sam?
Oh, if you signed up, so Ramses, you checked out, you paid your $2,000. If you can send a screenshot to me, then I will go ahead and give you access to the MVP program and the Marco Polo channel. All right, Heather, can you post the link into the community again?
I got it.
Hey, Ramses, welcome, buddy. I'm not looking at who's paying right now, but thank you so much. And again, if you guys, yeah, on Facebook. Yes. Yeah, on Facebook.
And I did post Sam's Facebook profile link, direct link on there. I'll post it again so you guys can have it.
You guys, we should all be friends. Let's be friends together. Everybody post their links in. Let's all be friends. Any other questions? Very interested. Had a client call me 15 minutes ago. Can I get a quick recap of the offer? DM is fine. TJ, so if you if you look on your screen right now, all the hands that are raised, they're MVP people, so you can talk to any of them. If you want to, I will send a replay of this out to anybody on the wait list, which we've got a pretty extensive wait list. I forgot to put the wait list here. So if you want the wait list, it only goes to the people, or if you want the form, it only goes to the people that are on the wait list. Give me 2 seconds. And normally, once again, when I do a webinar, I got it all planned out. I'll say, give me one on the chat. I'll do all this kind of stuff, get you guys engaged. This was let me tell you what this thing is about. This was what is it? When you have a horse for sale, sometimes the best way to say your marketing message is horse for sale, right? We are building agencies that are simple, that are profitable, that are without all of the fuss and all the crap that I keep seeing run rampant in the agency world, right? I have done it. People on the screen with their hands raised are doing it. That's what we're doing. So if you want an agency that is fueled by, I said in an email, I'm like, bragging about a 7-figure agency doesn't hold a candle to bragging about going to Hawaii or Disneyland or whatever with your family. Like for me, that's the flex. If I flex, which I don't flex, unless, okay, maybe I'll flex or something. I'm flexing about spending time with my family, going and doing that stuff. Like that stuff matters. I don't have Lamborghinis, which maybe that makes me not an actual guru. I don't want to be a guru, but I don't do that stuff, right? I just want time with my wife and my kids. That's the thing I want. And I don't want to freak out about my business, right? I want to feel confident in it. I want to feel confident that my clients, I went and stood in front of a room with Dr. Barbonas, and I can stand there and say, I deliver results because I do. I know his business very well, how it works. And if they have any rebuttal against that, I can tell them how to change their businesses because I am not trying to help everyone. I'm trying to help a very specific type of person, right? All right, Sam, I got a lava flow ready for you. Let's do this. I still don't know what a lava flow is. I know that you live in Hawaii, and I've been there a lot of times. Is a lava flow an ice, shave ice? I don't know. All right, any other questions? You guys can totally unmute yourselves. We've got enough time. I know they're coming in the chat, and people are messaging me directly too. How can we connect with the current MVPs to chat? I should have made the channel open for everybody. You guys can direct message each other, right? So just pick one of those lovely people with their hands raised and message all of them. Message, just kidding, just pick one. There's Tammy, by the way. All right. Any other questions? Totally fine. Again, we're only taking the first 20 and then we're cutting it off, but I will open it up again next month when the program is done, but we'll not be doing the Marco Polo thing. I talk too much on Marco Polo already.
Hey, man, the last Marco Polo you sent, that's pretty much describes me and my experience over the last 5 years. I just refuse to simplify and get laser focused, but just sharing another win. Yeah, I started doing some of the research in Jacob's training this week, and I did initial research this morning. I found 3 competitors, not even competitors, I'm sorry, businesses in my niche who are promoting dry eye. And damn, it turns out one of them had a freaking call scheduled with me today. And I just closed them, dude. I don't know, man. This is like, it can't be this easy. I know there's a whole other side of it with fulfillment, and I'm ready for that to the best I can at this point. But damn, man, it's really, really working well.
I agree with you there because I am a case study of of selling and doing all the features in high level. I'm guilty of that. And every quarter when sales slows down, we added a new thing. Like, hey, let's start doing social media now. Like, let's pitch that, get some new clients, and then, hey, let's start doing website marketing, landing pages, building landing pages. So, so now we got like 200 customer with different custom projects. Oh my God, it's a nightmare. One of the main reasons why I left the agency. So for this one that I'm starting new, there will be none of that. It'll be one thing and one offer, one audience, one sub niche, and that's it. I'm not gonna touch it. No more shiny object syndrome. And that's an issue with me because as entrepreneur, I'm prone to be easily distracted, easily chasing too rapid, okay? And I know that's my issues. So I'm glad that you're, coaching the group and telling people don't do that. Don't do other features. Actually, I'm gonna disable all the features. Everything turned off, except launch ad. That's the only thing we are doing. Because, as you explained, as we add additional services, we added new costs. We have to hire new people, new account managers, new virtual assistant to do the fulfillment. And we just kept adding costs. as we getting new clients, adding costs. So like the profit margin really sucks, really sucks. So I'm just tired of that. Now, very excited to do this thing. So I can't wait for the next module. And as I have free time, I'm still gonna go back and diving deeper into the week one. The week one that you have is really good. That's my favorite week. It's so good. And I don't know how you're able to put that into just an hour or 2 hours of content, but I felt like it was years. It summarized years of my struggles into one like 30-minute lessons. So I'm gonna continue to go back with status quo, seeing it for the first time module. Those are my favorite lessons, and I keep watching it again and again and again. And I realized that, my God, all this time, I need to identify the hungry audience that, you know, want to buy my services and help them with my services. And that's about it. And just keep it simple. So thank you for that, Sam. I will look forward on the Monday call.